The sons of Varen, 6 hung low, twin embers burning through a sky of copper haze. Wind carried red sand across the plains, whispering against the carcasses of old mining machines. Somewhere in the distance, a beacon blinked, the last sign of civilization this far from the galactic core. A lone rider drifted through the desert on a hoverbike older than the colonies themselves. The machine hummed with a deep, patient tone, its frame coated in dust. The rider wore a long coat and a hat, relics from another era, one that most of the galaxy had forgotten. They called him the Ambassador. No one knew his real name. Some said he had once sat before the Council of Nine, speaking for Earth. Others claimed he had shot his way out of their chambers. The truth didn't matter anymore. What mattered was that he was the last one still carrying Earth's flag, even if it was faded, frayed, and buried beneath regret. He stopped at the gates of Sunder's Rest, a settlement clinging to survival. The old sign swayed in the wind, its letters half-eaten by rust. Inside, he found the saloon, the only place where warmth still existed, distilled in glass bottles and old stories. The door slid open with a sigh. Conversations fell silent. Dozens of eyes, alien, human, mechanical, turned toward him. He nodded once, removed his hat, and stepped inside. He set a small silver coin on the counter. "Whiskey," he said quietly. The bartender, an aging android with cracked plating, poured the drink without a word. "You're far from home, Ambassador," the machine said, voice soft and static-filled. He stared into the glass. "Home's farther than most believe." The android servo's word. "You've heard the news, then. The council's coming." He took a slow sip. The taste was sharp, artificial, like the truth. "Yeah," he said. "They're bringing peace again." He placed the glass down gently, eyes cold as the moon's. And peace always comes armed. By noon, the horizon shimmered with silver fire. The council fleet descended, elegant, precise, untouchable. Their ships cast long shadows over Sunder's Rest. Dust rose like ghosts beneath their landing struts. The locals retreated indoors, closing their shutters, whispering about war. The ambassador stood outside, coat fluttering in the wind. His bike rested beside him, loyal as a dog that knew when to growl. From the flagship emerged Varen Thal, the council's envoy. His suit gleamed like liquid chrome, his expression sharp enough to cut. "Ambassador," Varen said with a smile that didn't reach his eyes, "the council is merciful. It wishes to offer Earth one last chance at reconciliation." The ambassador adjusted his hat. "Reconciliation, huh? That what you're calling it now?" Varen clasped his hands behind his back. Humanity's crimes are well documented. The wars, the experiments, the defiance. But the council believes even a savage species deserves the illusion of redemption. A long pause followed. The desert wind filled it like an answer. "You've got a fancy way of saying slavery," the ambassador murmured. Varen's smile thinned. "Compliance, Ambassador. It is not the same thing." The old man nodded once. "That's the problem with your kind. You change the words, but not the chains." The envoy tilted his head. "Do you speak for your species still? Or just for your pride?" The ambassador looked toward the dunes, where rusted human banners lay half-buried. "I speak for what's left of both." That was when the council guards moved, silent, efficient, their rifles humming faintly as they aimed. The ambassador didn't reach for his weapon yet. He simply raised his glass toward Varen. "Here's to peace," he said. And then, quietly, almost like a sigh, he added, "May it rest in peace." The first shot came from behind the council's envoy. The ambassador didn't fire, not yet. Someone else did. The crowd erupted. A storm of plasma bolts carved through the air, striking metal, flesh, and sand alike. Screams echoed through the narrow streets. He moved through the chaos with eerie calm, stepping between blasts, ducking behind collapsed beams. His revolver, old Earth make, gleamed when it finally appeared in his hand. No one saw him draw. One blink, one movement, and 2 guards fell. He didn't smile. He didn't speak. He simply walked toward Varen, who had taken cover behind a crashed drone. So this is diplomacy. Varen spat, dust on his perfect suit. The ambassador crouched beside the wreckage. No, this is what happens when talking stops mad errand. Varen tried to stand, blaster shaking in his hand. The council will burn your world for this. The ambassador stared at him for a long moment. They already did. Then he turned, leaving the envoy alive, not out of mercy, but because some truths were punishment enough. The settlement was burning. The wind howled through metal skeletons. The scent of scorched iron filled the air. In the distance, the sky flickered. The council's orbiters preparing to strike. He looked up. Guess I'll need to negotiate harder. Night came fast. The stars shimmered above, cold and distant. He sat alone beside a dying campfire. The wreckage of Sunder's rest scattered around him. His coat was torn, his gun empty, yet his gaze was steady. From his pocket, he pulled a small metal disc, an ancient communicator. When it powered on, the faint symbol of Earth's blue marble glowed dimly. A voice came through, static-filled and fragile. Ambassador, did the council accept the treaty? He hesitated. The silence lingered. Then he said, they accepted the message, not the treaty. Then what happens now? He leaned back, watching the embers fade. Now they remember why humans ain't to be forgotten. He thought of the oceans, of rain, of the sound of real wind through green leaves, not this eternal dust. He remembered a world worth bleeding for, and he knew, as the stars turned above, that he wasn't fighting for a planet anymore. He was fighting for the memory of it. Dawn was red again. The council fleet returned, larger this time, a wall of steel and arrogance. The ambassador stood atop the ruined watchtower, wind tearing at his coat. His voice was calm when he spoke into his transmitter. This is the human envoy. I'm open for negotiations. Silence, then a response. Lay down your arms and surrender. He smirked. Ain't got enough arms to make that worthwhile. The sky shimmered. Energy beams charged. He opened the old Earth beacon, the one buried beneath Sunder's rest, humanity's last failsafe. When it lit up, it wasn't a weapon. It was a message, a pulse, a reminder to every human still out there in the void. A call home. The council's ships trembled as the signal spread. Systems glitched. Communications cracked. You can erase a people from your records, he said softly, but not from history. Then he walked into the storm, calm, resolute, unafraid. When the dust cleared, the sky was empty. The council's ships had withdrawn, scarred and silent. The ambassador stood beside his hoverbike, coat tattered, eyes distant. Sunder's rest was gone, but in its ashes, the beacon still pulsed faintly. Somewhere humanity had heard. He holstered his revolver, climbed onto the bike, and looked once more toward the horizon. The suns rose together, painting gold across the wasteland. He whispered, "Guess I'm still an ambassador after all." The engine stirred. The wind joined him. Together they rode toward the edge of the world, where the desert met the stars.